Hello, I came home the other day from hospital to find three letters on the mat. One of them was from the House of Commons, a letter I'd been waiting for 6 months, and the other two were actually copies of the same letter. Oddly, from 10 Downing Street. Isn't it extraordinary how a letter from 10 Downing Street comes in a white envelope, rather understated, and letters from the House of Commons come in this rather wonderful cream envelope. And anyway, I thought I thought I would let you know that these things have come. I've been trying to get attention from the Ministry for Digital Media, Culture and Sport, or whatever combination that acronym is. And the minister in charge of that is Nadine Dorries, and she still hasn't replied to me. But one of the junior ministers, Julia Lopez, wrote me a letter, and although it was very sweetly phrased, it still doesn't deal with the issues. I'm still being fobbed off by being told to speak to a thing called Creative UK. I spoke to them today. Their remit actually doesn't cover what I'm talking about, and Ofcom, and again, their remit doesn't cover what I'm talking about, and a lot of paragraphs of verbiage, which actually don't address the issue. So it is nice to finally get some sort of response. It is frustrating that it's not straightforward, and it's also very amusing that the letter from 10 Downing Street says that they're going to talk to Julia Lopez, and then I get a letter from her suggesting, giving the impression that this was simply a delay in her response and initiated by my own MP. So I think if you ever want something doing and you're not getting a response, the obvious solution is to write to the Prime Minister's office, to write to 10 Downing Street. That seems to give a slight kick to the process. But I am disappointed that this issue isn't progressing. It seems to be taking forever. And there is an assumption in the way these people write that this is actually for me. Well, very little of it is, really. I'm very concerned about the future of reality TV. It seems to me to be a form of cheap television that comes with a lot of danger and does a lot of harm. There are so many people who have taken their own lives because of exposure to reality TV, and the standard response to the media is to say that they can't deal with fame or they've got a mental health problem. Either this is explicitly said or it's implied. What I've experienced and what I know from talking to many people who've been involved in these shows now, this was a form of television I knew nothing about before I was asked to be on it. What I have learned is that there's a lot of manipulation, which comes very close to bullying, particularly after the show has finished. And it's not only performers who are on the show, it's people who work backstage as well. They seem to have a very difficult time. But, that's what you get. If you're in a culture which is prone to bullying, it emerges everywhere. It's like a sort of disease. You see this every time bullying appears in schools, for example, or in businesses. It's not just in one isolated place. It's not just one isolated person. It's a culture of abuse. And giving more control to production companies, I think, will perpetuate and is perpetuating this culture. It's not the way forward. Production companies are best producing television programs, not managing people's well-being, health, and professional lives. So my concerns are to establish some sort of professional support the sort of support that one would get if one were appearing in a television program as an actor, and or indeed as any form of personality. Reality TV performers, in my experience and my observation, seem to be denied these basic services, whether these be access to agents or support from a union. Both of these things should be available. And as I pointed out to the Union Equity, which in the 1960s joined, amalgamated with the older union, the Variety Artists Federation. The Variety Artists Federation took the view, very sensibly, that anybody who was appearing in public had a right to union representation, and had a right to a voice. However much money they earned, however little money they earned, they had that right. And that was enshrined in that union right at the beginning, right at the beginning of the 20th century. And the wonderful Mary Lloyd led a strike in, I think, 1909, and brought all the theatres in London to a close. What a wonderful, magnificent woman. She's the lady who of course sings, and every little movement has a meaning of its own. I don't think she was talking about the union at that point, but she might just as well have been, don't you think, really? Anyway, do follow the channel, do ring the bell, and do let me know your thoughts on this subject and any other. I'm always interested. Bye-bye.